Good evening, this is the Oscar Expert here, and it's time to talk about why Zone of Interest is a masterpiece. Spoilers ahead. I wasn't sure if I was going to do an analysis, but I've seen some analyses here on YouTube that I think only scratch the surface. You can say banality of evil till you're blue in the face, but to me the film is deeper. I think what's so alarming about the film is how deeply it wants to pull you in and make you feel unsafe watching it. The Zone of Interest really makes an effort to erode the barrier between you and the events on the screen as much as it possibly can as a film. There's no period sheen or glorification of its aesthetics. There's no black and white. It doesn't have that bland brown World War II color grade to it to make you feel like you're in World War II time. A lot of times props in films look old. They look like they are relics of the past, but the team on the Zone of Interest made sure that that wasn't the case. Every wheelbarrow looks new, the house looks new, the clothes look new. The movie looks strikingly modern. It's shot digitally with crisp, sharp lenses, and it makes it seem like everything is happening right in front of us, almost like it's the present day. Because like the wall in the film that separates the hosses from the horrors next door, watching something on a movie screen often provides some kind of safe distance for the audience to observe a piece of history. But I think that Jonathan Glazer hopes that we see ourselves in the Haas family in a scary way, or see how this world resembles ours. He doesn't want us to feel like this is just something that happened long ago, and that it's not the world that we live in right now. Even the way that events like this have been documented, be it behind glass in museums, or old grainy looking video and photos, or through recreations of those events in media, it's nearly impossible to convey to people the urgency of this event, the close relationship that it has to maybe the world that we live in, or the world as it always will be. And Jonathan Glazer, with the understanding that no film can truly transport us into the past, still makes an effort to bring us in closer than almost any film I can think of. And the way the movie is shot and directed, with cameras mostly hidden and obscured around the set, looking at the family like we're spying on them. This fly-on-the-wall approach was enhanced by the fact that Glazer and others who worked on the film left the set and just left the actors there to do the scene with the cameras, kind of similar to theater. That must have given so much immersion to the performers. And the overall effect it has on the film is that while there's a controlled vision going on here, it has somewhat of an authorless quality to it. It really feels like we're just spying on a very real moment in time. And again, this is to make the audience feel uncomfortable, to remove that safe distance feeling that we often have when we look back on or observe these events in media. And when I see people say that the Hosses are evil monsters, I also think that misses the point to an extent. To call these people evil monsters would be to distance ourselves from them. Human beings carried out this atrocity, and all the actions that we witness of the Hosses in this film are extensions of behaviors that all of us possess. The dark sides of human nature, if you will. Rudolph's goal in the film is not to kill all the Jews because he hates them, it is to provide for his family. Hedwig's goal is to give her family a dream home where they can thrive and feel comfortable. One of the most unsettling truths that Zone of Interest unmasks is that comfort itself can be a sin, and everybody is guilty of this on some level. We all find a rationale that gives ourselves permission to enjoy the niceties of our own little worlds, even when there is horror around us. These are the walls that we build for ourselves, and while there may not be a literal wall between most individuals and obvious suffering, in the metaphorical sense, these walls are everywhere. That wall might be my phone screen when I see dead children in Ukraine on my timeline. That wall could be the ease with which we consume animal products, despite the suffering that's at the source of that food. Or maybe it is a literal wall. The southern border, Israel and Gaza, both of which seem to breed some level of dehumanization. In this world where genocide is so normal, so everyday, all the Hosses really feel that they are doing actively is just participating in society. And they are participating in the way that is the most rewarded, the most lucrative, the best option for their family and their children. If they don't fill the role, someone else will. In that way, what the film says about wealth and how the government rewards those who carry out its tasks is quite scary. It reminds me of how profitable war is and how many people's livelihoods depend on the military-industrial complex. If you're an engineer in Germany in the 40s, the most success you can have is designing the most efficient gas chambers. And the movie brought the question in my mind if it's scary that our politicians are wealthy and comfortable. Perhaps the Hosses are well compensated because it makes it easier for them to avoid reckoning with the horrors of what they're participating in, or rather, becoming wealthy off of these horrors makes it harder for them to see the horror at all. Maybe these comforts are not merely a shield from the evil, but they are necessary for the evil to flourish. They're inextricable from it, which explains the film's most prominent symbol, the blood red flower. The garden itself acts almost like a massive overcompensation that allows this family to tune out the evils over the wall. The way we decorate our lives, the nice things we surround ourselves with, perhaps none of that is so innocent. The movie made me ask myself, are my comforts preventing me from reckoning with the world's evil? Should we always be suspicious of our comforts, of our wealth? Every piece of their world is so closely tied to the events over the wall. The way the ladies talk about the origin of their clothing like any group of suburban housewives just chit-chatting, or the way the older son is inspecting teeth like they're any other cool artifact. I think it's possible that the Hosses do recognize that something about their lives is uneasy. The way Hedwig quickly throws out the note her mother left after she felt unsettled staying there watching the flames of the gas chambers go up, or the way they hastily scrub the ashes off their children after they're exposed to them in the river. I think the final shot sums up Rudolph and Hedwig's relationship with this evil. What happens if the characters even begin to reckon with their world, and Rudolph, shortly after thinking of how he would logistically gas an entire room of people, stares down a black hallway, seeming to have some sort of premonition of the future and how this event will be remembered or perceived. It's not clear what he makes of this or how much of this is really his vision, but we see that he starts hacking. He can't even bring himself to vomit. This act of killing-esque moment suggests that maybe he's considering his capacity for evil, but this choice to put his hat back on and continue descending into the dark stairwell says that he will not even begin to reckon with that question. It's just too much to bear. It would upend his entire life and everything he's built. The dissonance would be too great, considering how deeply their lives are intertwined with what's going on around them. In this world where genocide's so normal that a gunshot is as startling a snippet of ambience as a bird chirping, and where that genocide is directly benefiting you and your family, adding beauty and purpose to your life, you ignore it. That's just how humans are. That flash forward moment at the end has provoked a lot of different thoughts from viewers, and I don't want to draw people towards a concrete conclusion of it, but it seems to draw clear parallels to the central story in the Zone of Interest, with people cleaning, sanitizing, or perhaps feeling jaded. Working in there is their job, and so they don't really feel anything going in there anymore. Certainly the film is not dismissing the impact of visiting these places or suggesting that there's something wrong with the people who work there or something wrong with cleaning these places. I mean, Glazer himself has spoken on how he was impacted by his visits. But even in this place, which is the most impactful way that people can go and consider these atrocities, there are walls between us and the artifacts. The space is maintained and kept clean so that the experience is more comfortable to participate in. Again, the movie's not saying that these places should be dirty and gross. It's just the film observing the ways that things are remembered and preserved. There is inevitably going to be a distance between us and these events, and even the movie, I think, would acknowledge its own shortcomings. But the danger of this distance is that it keeps us from identifying ourselves in the picture. And one of the great things Zone of Interest achieves is that it shows us how these people are fundamentally like us. There's also a very noteworthy use of dark and light in the film. Their home and their garden is just bathed in bright sunlight, and darkness seems to be an antagonist in the film of sorts. There are a few scenes where we just watch Rudolph go around his home, locking it up, turning off the lights, and like a moth, with each light he turns off, he flocks towards the next one turned on. The corners of the home are black and menacing in these scenes, and it mirrors something in those final shots, where Rudolph is staring into the darkness, almost reckoning with the sickness of what he's doing. Like his mission is to avoid the darkness of the world, which is why I think it's interesting that this character seems to choose to walk into the darkness in that last shot, when most times in this film we see the character walking away from it. The idea of light and dark plays into my interpretation of what the thermal night vision scenes are all about, which again, I don't want to pretend that I have the one answer to this, because I think Zone of Interest is interesting for what it lets the audience chew on. But the first time we enter one of these night vision scenes is when Rudolph is finishing turning off those lights in his home. Then he goes upstairs and sees his daughter sitting in the darkness, just kind of staring. And he asks her what she's doing, and she says she's passing out sugars, right before we cut to the night vision where the Polish girl is passing out apples. And I've seen people be confused about this. The girl is Polish, it says so in the script. This is sort of difficult to grasp, but there seems to be some spiritual connection drawn between Rudolph's daughter when she's sleepy and this 15-year-old girl, or at least that's how the movie decides to transition between the two. I mean, her saying she's passing out sugars, I guess she has a shining with this girl. But anyway, these shots of this girl leaving apples in the mud are bathed in blackness where she's the only bright spot. This world where she is attempting to do something good is such an inverse to the Haas's world that the colors look nearly inverted, where acts of evil are carried out in broad daylight and acts of kindness must be carried out in secret in the dead of night. When this girl arrives home, the lighting in her house is also in stark contrast to how the Haas home is lit. Shrouded in darkness, only lit by candle or lantern. For this family, the hope of doing a good act is their light. It also may be the case that this family was hiding because they could have become victims of the Holocaust. There were lots of non-Jewish Polish people who were killed. I'm not sure about that. But either way, this family has to sit in the darkness of Germany's horrific reality. This girl plays a song written by a Jewish person that she found in the mud called Sunbeams, which is a real song that Joseph Wolf, a survivor of the camps, wrote. And the song is about how these prisoners' souls are still afire, still blazing, in hope that they will someday see a white flag. I think this is a really powerful metaphor for how the brutal tar-black worlds that these people live in are kept alive by whatever beams of light they can discover within themselves. Also, a powerful visual choice in this scene is the lens flare of the sun coming into the room while the girl is playing this song on the piano. Meanwhile, the Haas household is not short on sunlight whatsoever. But both households want the same thing, light and warmth. One has to clamor for it within the darkness, the other has it provided in abundance so that they never even have to consider that darkness. Laser's film is haunting in its empathy. It dares to view these people as fellow humans with the same desires as all of us have. They may live under different circumstances and have different incentivizing forces in their world, but their pursuit of comfort, prosperity, self-preservation, and how their abundance of comforts erode their ability to tune into the suffering around them, that's just what people are. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. How lush is your garden?